Good evening and welcome to another edition of Monday Night Magpie Live, looking ahead to Crewe, reviewing a very welcome 3 points at Crawley on Saturday. Professional's view from Mr. Stallard, analysing the arrival of Mr. Belshaw in goal and a cameo, shall we say, from Beck, Enoru. Your thoughts for those of you who were down at Crawley? How happy are you with the forays into the January transfer window, both ins and outs? Since we were last on air on Sunday, Mia Traore has now completed a loan move to Sligo Rovers in the Republic of Ireland Premier Division. He'll be there through till June. They run a summer league that starts in February and runs through to about October and November. Would you like to see more players come in? Notts now start in 7th place. A run of 5 games in 15 days, 4 of them at home, starting with Crewe Alexandra in front of the Sky cameras. Remember, that is a 12:30 kickoff on Saturday. Without further ado, we'll read some messages out very shortly. Stel, very good to see you. Well, I guess that was just what the doctor ordered, wasn't it, on Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, pleasure to see you, Paul. Pleasure to see everybody. Yeah, absolutely what we needed. It seemed an eternity since we'd actually played, didn't it? I mean, I know it was just over 2 weeks, but it seemed like a lot longer than that. And coming off the back of that Accrington result and performance and the Chesterfield one Boxing Day, it did feel like we needed a win. Otherwise, you sense that's 5 without a win, and there's a bit of a downward slide coming. But yeah, got the job done. Took all 3 points away from home. Very good. Second half improved. I think deserved it in the second half. First half a bit scrappy, but yeah, positives. Plenty of positives to take from it. You can never moan at 3 points on the road.
Yes, I for one was very pleased. Not worried really about performance levels, all about a result. Tricky game with Crawley having signed that many players. Let's get a few thoughts from the flock. Martin Blaney first on at 12:15 this afternoon on the message board. Evening, Paul and Stel. Hope you are both okay. Nice to end our winless run, despite struggling when Crawley had a man sent off. Typical Notts, we never do anything too easily. Steve Geldard, good evening all. We are going up. All we need is another striker, and that should make the squad right. Although I think there might be a few fringe players out, but at least we now have our mojo back. Debbie Caton, hi guys. In James Belshaw, we have a fabulous goalkeeper. Would welcome another striker. After Saturday's game, I must admit, I breathed a sigh of relief when the full-time whistle was blown. Great result, says Rich Hawksworth. Enjoyed a super day in the press box with my mate, who is in the Crawley media team. Even managed to chew the fat with Stell at half-time. Hope I didn't put him off his second half duties. Come on, you pies, says Nigel Bosworth, a show regular. Colin Metcalf, January window is going the right way. But for me, we still need a striker and number 10, or we haven't given ourselves the best chance of success. Consistency will be the key, hence we need proven quality. Bale and Ball, evening all. We'd all love a new player in at a 10, but politics aside, I think he's talking about a new person in number 10 rather than the 10 role for football. Politics aside, politics-free zone, this one, Bale and Ball. Trust in what the brothers are doing. They should know by now what we need. Nick Hogg asks a rhetorical question, thoughts on January window, and then proceeds to answer it himself. Excuse me. Apart from Belshaw, we've not really improved as such. Lots out, including Gordon, who is a decent player, and only 2 young prospects in. Young lad on Saturday looks exciting, but certainly not match fit. Robert Minister from Down Under in Junie. Morning, evening, depending where you are, to all my fellow pies. Nice to have football back after the short layoff. Damn, how good was Belshaw Belshaw. Should have had a clean sheet, and it was a nice cameo from Beck Ray. Evening campers, says Royston. Hope Beck Ray doesn't get targeted like Jody does if he keeps doing what he did on Saturday. Jurgen Pye, evening all. I noticed nearly all of Belshaw's goal kicks accurately found Jatta. Yeah, I noticed the precision of the outball from James as well. Interesting from MP, says David Shorter, after the Crawley game, when on the subject of Jody Jones, he said they were playing him back to fitness, which could go some way towards explaining why Jody has not been at his best. Lippy James has got a moan about Pie player. It never works for the whole game. It stopped just before half time, she says. Was there a problem with Radio Nottingham? Does it happen to others? It then repeats itself. Pete Bond is in agreement. Yes, it can be a little hit and miss. Adam Kent, we too noticed how many kicks from Belshaw direct to Jatta. Hello, everyone, says Karen Knight. Hello, Karen. Tim Watchorn, good to see the black and white on Saturday, but why was there no? But why, as there was no colour clash? I must admit, I did spot that because green and white would not clash with red. I did drop a message to the club today, but I've not heard back as to quite why it was black and white. Never underestimate superstition in football. But normally the manager hasn't called the team kit colours at Notts for a while, so not really sure why. Only thing I could think of was the ref was in kind of a turquoise top. Maybe he'd only brought one. I don't know. Magic Boots Agana, evening all, great battling second half performance. Liking Norwood more with every game. Joint MOM for me with Iapenda. Great gesture from Pato on the bus, topped off a good away day. Yes, you were in demand, Stell, at services and in press boxes. Have you seen that Mr. Patterson, the team bus stopped off at Newport Pagnell? Supporters bus was there, and Pato got off the team bus and went down and shook everybody's hand on the supporters coach, which I thought was a nice gesture.
Right. Well, I didn't know he was at the services, but I know he'd been on. I'd seen the photo that somebody had put on about him going on the bus and shaking everyone's hand. Yeah, why wouldn't you? Notts fans have been terrific, as they have been for years. But it's a long way to go. Crawley. A lot of them came and went, and they travel all over the country, as you do, Paul. With other people as well. But it's nice to see. Why shouldn't they get some recognition? Why shouldn't they get a thank you? Not saying it should happen every week and what have you. And particularly in this era, you see managers confronting players, fans and managers or players confronting each other at the end of games, don't you? Sometimes acrimoniously, quite a bit. So to repair that, and then you don't want to see that, but why not? Thank the fans. They're the ones that travel, spend their money, up and down supporting, and they don't always get their rewards. They did Saturday, we're all chuffed about that. But yeah, I think it's a really good gesture, good PR from Martin, and I think it shows how much he appreciates the fans.
Yes, I mean, I had the luxury or comparative luxury of going down on Friday evening. I had some meetings in London, so I stopped overnight in a Premier Inn for 50 quid. I gather the Radio Nottingham budget for you and Adam couldn't quite run to that, and you were there and back on the day, because it's a fair old trog down here, to be fair.
It is. To be fair, we did all right. The M25 was playing ball. Obviously, Heathrow and Gatwick, I suppose, are the quietest at the beginning of January. So, yeah, we managed to get down there without too many hold-ups, got back without too many as well. So, yeah, it wasn't too bad. But, yeah, we didn't stay overnight. We don't get that luxury all the time, Paul.
Jeff Briggs, evening all. It was nice to meet Stell on Saturday in the service station on the way back. Kay says, evening, any more transfer rumours, Paul? Well, I've actually had 3 out of 3, haven't I, recently, so I haven't got any more, although I understand we might not be making too many more signings unless there are more outgoings. It's a point you've raised before, Stell, isn't it, in terms of size of squad? It's not a small squad. It would appear Barry Cotter can't return, reading between the lines from his comments with Barry. So as I understand it, and I'm hearing, Notts would need to move players out before any other significant, shall we say, any more significant acquisitions. What are your thoughts so far with where we are now to where we were on December the 31st?
Well, look, it's difficult to really say. We're two different, aren't we? We've got a new goalkeeper and an experienced goalkeeper, and I think everybody could see the beauty of having somebody who knows the league, knows the game, is assured. He came in, did everything he was asked to do, James Belshaw, and like somebody said there, he'll be gutted, and like everyone will be, that they conceded, and they allowed themselves to concede at the end because they put themselves in a fairly comfortable position, 2 up in injury time. Could have had a clean sheet on his debut, but no fault of his own. Deflection off Ollie Norwood, who was also really good in the game, as somebody mentioned. But yeah, James Belshaw, I thought it was an excellent start. He's experienced, of course. He's not going to be unnerved by going to Crawley or anything like that. But playing for the club that you grew up supporting, there's an extra edge on that. And yes, you want to do your best, but sometimes when you want to do something so badly, it can go the other way. It can just affect your performance. But it didn't his at all. He managed it superbly well. Did everything. As I say, made two or three decent saves, and couldn't be faulted for the goal. So looked very assured. Looks like a good signing. The other Beck Enoru, I've not had a smile off my face since his cameo at the weekend, which we'll go into in a bit more detail. But I just thought he showed a glimmer of what he might be able to provide. In terms of pace, directness, a bit of innocence to football league football, if you like, coming from part-time. What was he, a shop assistant in Zara a year ago? I mean, that is an unbelievable change, and he came on and showed his pace, showed some ability, and very nearly scored. We were a little bit unlucky not to have scored. And then the oil ran out of the tank, didn't it? He couldn't move. He had divers boots on for the last 2, and I honestly, I was smiling. I've not stopped smiling since, because I know exactly what. And me and you were talking off air, saying, well, he's got to build his fitness up, which he has, obviously, from part-time to full-time. You've got it, but I don't think that's so much fitness. It obviously is, but I think he'd have had that much adrenaline coursing through his body, making his football league debut at 22. Maybe thinking this was never going to happen. And he came on and he sprinted everywhere for about 15 minutes until the tank was empty completely, and the adrenaline just goes. And I'm on radio saying he looks, he needs a second wind. Well, he looked like he needed a third, fourth, and fifth wind. He'd only been on the pitch 15 minutes, but he chased everywhere, chased everything at 100 miles an hour. And he'll learn, and obviously won't have quite the same adrenaline as you do on your debut. But then for 5 minutes at the end, he couldn't lift his feet up, could he? And I said to you, I said, Spotters straight away for their near equaliser with the last kick header of the game. James Belshaw gave him a bit of a volley. He toned it down a little bit because he just couldn't get near his man. Free header at the back post, got put back across. But yeah, that was his introduction. But he did what you want from a sub, didn't he? He impacted the game in a positive way, and he showed a glimmer of maybe what he can produce. Yes, he's a work in progress. I'm sure he is. We've seen 20 minutes of him, but impressive what we've seen. Maybe offers something different to what we've already got in the squad.
So would you be saying that James Belshaw is an oven-ready goalkeeper then? For us?
Yeah, of course he is. I mean, of course he is. I don't know how many appearances he's made at this level and in the Football League, but of course he's experienced. He's a good age at 35. He's not going to be fazed by making a debut at Crawley. I'm sure he'll be glad. He'll be good. Can't wait to get that first home game out the way, or under his belt, should I say? Not out the way. Seems like I want to get out of the way, but under his belt, the home fans, that reception, and then get down to business. And that's it. Because at the end of the day, he's come in to achieve something. He's come in to get promoted with like the rest of the squad. So, yes, it's a fantastic story whenever somebody comes back to the club that they support, where they're from. But it's business now, down to business. He'll want that reception. The first game at home, fantastic moment for him. But again, it's about getting points, getting results, getting wins on under the belt, and it certainly was a good start.
Yeah, it's interesting with James coming in, isn't it? Because a lot of the time, what goes into the metrics for the brothers, as Richard Montague has explained, is, is there a resale value, a profit to be made? I guess in James' case, I think we paid a small fee, small undisclosed fee. The value of the signing for me is that over the course of 22 games, 21, however many we've got left, for me, his value to us is that he gives us a better chance over those games of getting promoted. We're not going to be able to sell him for any money, but it's a different signing to how a lot of the signings that we have made have that kind of valuation in the back of the brother's mind.
Yeah, I think there's an element of course he's a different sort of signing. We're not buying to sell him on in a year's time at a profit, are we? But I think that they do vary it. Yes, predominantly we're looking for value for money. We're looking for the Beck Enoru's 22-year-old from non-league. Can he come in and play games and help us get promoted or in a positive way and get us promoted? And if that, in the meantime, adds value to him, then other clubs come sniffing, so be it. Jatta, Maka, all the players that they've done that with over the last few years. But in and amongst that, there has been not as many, obviously, but some senior players. I'm thinking of Ollie
Yeah.
Norburn there, who we've already
Ollie
spoken about.
Norburn,
The likes of that. Harry Arter came in before, people like that who are, I'm saying oven ready, but you think you're buying oven ready. And Harry Archer, I think, showed you that you're not always guaranteed what you're going to get. But I think Ollie Norburn, who played well at the weekend, has come into the team after a bit of a mixed start. Him and Matt Palmer maybe, taking a bit of time to find out each other's role when they play together. But they do bring in a bit of experience as well. It's not just all about, Keller Roos was experienced, wasn't he? I mean, like I say, we can't sort of sit here and say that was ultimately successful. And I agree with you, given what's gone before. I think James Belshaw improves us, and gives us a better chance of success for the remainder of this season. We'll wait and see whether that happens. But so far, like I say, the two young lads, Luke Brown, we didn't see in the 18. He was there. I think he did some running and that before the game, bit of ball work. And Beck Enoru, we've seen the cameo. You can't really judge it and say, well, we're any better outfield because we don't know yet. But like I say, an interesting cameo from Enoru.
Evening from Stephen Newton. Jurgen Pye says, I think that having a solid goalkeeper gives the defence more confidence than they had under Kell. Jurgen mentions the Kilmarn 93rd minute goal for Dundee, which I think you've had plenty of people sending it, you Stell. I have. Didn't look great, if I'm honest. But look, clearly we wish Kell all the best in his loan at Kilmarnock, and I think it's best for all concerned in terms of the way it's panned out over the past 7 days. Ian Haywood, we need to learn from silly mishaps towards the end of games. Mr. Grumpy was having words today. Yeah, I think receiving end, Ollie Norburn in the wall. And I think as well, Matty Dennis, which I know you picked up on, Stell, not taking the ball or not ensuring the ball stayed at the other end of the pitch in the corner for longer, which allowed Crawley to have that last gasp cross header, and it was hearts in mouths moment for a few milliseconds before it went wide. Ian Haywood says, who got their knuckles wrapped, I wonder? I think I've just more or less answered that one, Ian Haywood. Knots lover. Evening, everyone. Great win on Saturday. Still think we need improvements in the midfield. I don't know if we are ultimately going to go forward under this ownership. Does he smile ever? Says Lippy Jane. I think that is aimed at Mr. Grumpy, aka Martin Patterson. He did get on the bus, on the supporters bus, Lippy. I'm sure he must have smiled for at least one of them photos, selfies, when he was shaking hands with everybody on the bus. What else have we got? Jurgen Pye's back on. Thought Palmer and Norwood linked up well with Iapenda behind Jatta. Black Sox Pie from across the pond. We'll have to meet you halfway in Greenland soon, won't we, the way things are going. Two things I am not keen on come together on Saturday. a 12:30 kickoff. That will be 7:30 or 6:30 for you. And the morning, I'm playing Crewe. I would really like a win against them. In a way, we're 3-0 down, Stell, going into the 90th minute. We get 3 goals. They get a player sent off in the 99th minute. And from the resulting penalty, we win 4-3. And I tell you what, that still wouldn't be as dramatic as the AFCON Cup final last night. Me and my lad, purely by, I think I was waiting to watch the Night Manager, and Harry had got the thought. He says, "Just wait till the end, Dad. Just wait till the end." And I thought, I want to watch the Night Manager, right? And then, of course, it all just starts kicking off in them closing minutes. And talk about, I don't know how many of the flock saw it, drama. I mean, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I didn't see any of it. I didn't see any of it. I didn't see any of the Night Manager either. But the football, no, I didn't see any of it. But I've read about it and heard the shenanigans that was going on. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, and as much as it's sort of entertaining to watch, I suppose. But you don't want to see that, do you? Teams coming off the pitch protesting at a decision, and I think there's a few said, and it leaves a bad taste. It doesn't show African football in great light, and there will be repercussions, I'm sure. But yeah, and then you talk about Panenka penalties, don't you, as well? But Panenka penalty, I mean, Zidane did it in the World Cup final, didn't he? Remember that was the one that clipped the bar and only just went over the line. But yeah, to do that in injury time,
Johnny Bostock.
Yeah, not quite the same pressure, but yeah, the same. I mean, we did have a backup in Kedwin.
It did go in. I mean, it was the same end result.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it. And that's the thing with Panenka's. People say it's the wrong way to take a penalty. It's all about the result. If it goes in, it doesn't matter how. If you miss, I say there's only 2 results. You either score or miss a penalty. That's it. So, yeah, that sounded like madness, though. Sounded like absolute chaos. And like I say, not something you want to see really spread through football. As much as a token gesture, it's a bit of a laugh for us. But you don't want to see that in the game too much.
Yeah, I mean, it took them all off the manager, and it was by and large down to Sadio Mane. He got them all back out of the dressing room. And of course, then, the guy takes the penalty, and of course, you think, what next? But what you didn't necessarily see directly at the time was the goalkeeper was having a towel given to him, as in... excuse me, the Senegal keeper was being given a towel by the reserve keeper or something who was wandering round. And then a fight breaks out with the Moroccan ball boys wrestling the reserve keeper to the ground. So he couldn't give a towel to the Senegal goalkeeper. It was hilarious. Yeah. They didn't show that. Yeah. Obviously, there's footage of it. And anything and everything was kicking off. It was... and the referee, we might complain about referees in English football. Honestly, it looked like a 12-year-old schoolboy that did not have a clue, but he clearly couldn't control any of all the players who were just wandering around and all the rest of it. Yeah, absolute mayhem.
Yeah, I did see that footage of the towel. Yeah, I mean, that's just bonkers, isn't it? I mean, that is madness. But yeah, I mean, look, there'll be repercussions from it. But yeah, like I say, it's a bit of it turns it into a bit of a circus, doesn't it? That's the thing. And what you don't want is things like that happening in the World Cup, do you? In America, I mean, so we're not talking about politics, but crikey, in America and the countries over there in the summer with what's going on. I mean, God knows what might happen this summer. So we'll wait and see. But we hope that doesn't catch on. That doesn't become a thing that, managers bring players off if they're protesting a late decision, no matter how bad you think it is. That's unacceptable, isn't it? So we'll see what comes of it, see what punishments, but yeah, just bonkers, absolutely madness.
Yeah, I digress. I mean, but if you think back, I mean, think of the scenes we had with that penalty at Crewe. Were you there for that one? And it took ages, didn't it, because of the linesman?
Yeah, and they had to move the linesman.
He wouldn't over that, so he wouldn't officiate over that side. And I mean, it wasn't as crazy as that. But I mean, we've had some right ding dongs with Crewe, and we always seem to get the bad end of a hugely controversial decision.
Yeah, well, we do it their ground more than at home,
Yeah,
don't we?
yeah,
So let's
yes,
hope let's
yeah,
hope there
yeah,
is a differential there with us being at home. But it's good as we've got 4 home games out of the next 5.
that's
You
it.
know, it's
Yeah,
good to go into that run with a win. You know, where home form has been a bit up and down, hasn't it?
yeah,
2 wins, 2 defeats, 2 draws out of the last 6. So you know, what a good time to go into it with a little bit of confidence. Jody with an unbelievable goal again. Hopefully that
yeah.
just gives him a bit of a fillip, a bit of belief, and gets him somewhere near his best. Um, you know, and it's a good time to have 4 home games when you're in form, feeling confident.
Okay, right. The messages are pouring in. Let me do another little cluster of those. Evening all, Martin Shipley. Aren't we still in need of another keeper? That said, in last week's training video, I thought Harry Griffiths looked very sharp. Ian Cooksey, these home games coming up, to echo your point, Stel, are vital to our season. Come out of them with a decent return and we could be in real business. Greza Maxwell says Griffiths needs game time, maybe away from Notts. He looked very average against Man United in the Virtue. Notts Lover says Harry is a really good keeper. We should start more often. We'll be interested to see what Notts do if they are going to get a second senior keeper in. Stel and I were just talking a little bit before the show. Please don't laugh or anything. I would be very surprised if we don't have a 24-hour recall on Keller, given the unthinkable happens and James Belshaw is ill or gets injured. I would think there is certainly a 24-hour recall option there. Adam Kent, does anyone know why the Crawley player got sent off? And don't say off the ball incident. I want the gossip. I've not seen it. Did you actually see the incident? Closest
I
I've
did,
got is pushing the face or something to Norburn and an altercation.
yeah,
Or,
I didn't see it at the time. And
yeah,
the only thing I saw at the time, because it wasn't off the ball, is I will explain. I have had a look at it on the thing, and you can on YouTube. If you zoom in, you can
yeah,
see what happens on the highlights that the club put out. Um, Yeah, all I saw was when he was halfway off the pitch, he walked past, I think it was Jody on the left-hand side, nearest the touchline, and he made a motion as if to say he stamped on my foot or whatever. And what actually happened was, yeah, Norburn walking up to him, just treads on his toe, accidentally on purpose, obviously, as you do, as has happened in football for a million years. Um, and Lolos reacts by sort of stamping on his foot, on Norburn's foot, and then
okay.
a little bit of a push. I mean, it really is a little bit of a push. And if you know, it's easy to say because we've won the game, so you can say it is a bit of a soft sending off, really. But he does stamp on the foot, so you go, well, it's stamp, it's deliberate, intentional foul play or you know aggressive play. So it's look, it's if you were a Crawley fan, you'll look at it, and I'm sure, and Scott Lindsay hasn't he said it's never a sending off, but maybe not the least biased person to say so, but it is a soft one. I mean, it's the sort of thing that you know in football happens, you know, but the referee's obviously seen it straight away because he was you know absolutely there, wasn't he, on the spot? Obviously saw what happened, maybe didn't see. To be fair, Norburns was more astute, shall we say. He just walked and trod on his foot as if he was walking. Lolos actually stamped on Norburn's foot. So I mean, it's like telling tales in the playground, isn't it? That, but I suppose by the letter of the law, it's a red card, but it was a little bit soft.
AD Clark, evening, AD. Needed that 3 points, so great result. Belshaw is making a real difference, installing confidence at the back. Beck Ray going to be lively. Hope he's a 90-minute player. Even Paul Ali Moir could have lasted longer. Hang on, AD. I tell you what, I might have been able to run for 20 minutes at the same pace, but it would have been a very slow pace for all 20 minutes. Yeah, it looks like Jurgen Pye's been studying the video. Norwood stamped on defender's foot, and their player took a bit of a swing at him. So Jurgen's obviously been zooming in on the YouTube videos. Ian Cooksey, question to Stell: how difficult, easy to play a game after a 16-day break, especially on the back of a poorish run? We'll pick up on that shortly. Ian Hayward, he saw also a stamping on Jody's foot, but somehow Norman got his head in, is what I heard. Not quite sure that's right, Ian. I think Stell and Jurgen have probably a more accurate view on what happened. Dale Pikett says, not needing this window, or what's left of it anyway. Right wing back, striker, and a number 10. Need more creativity in this team. Richard Hawksworth, Iapenda at 8 or 10. Discuss. Shuey Silver, Steve Silver, not started, a bit leggy for me. Could tell not played for a few weeks. Impressed with Belshaw. Beck Gray looks like going to be a real hit. Excuse me. Some more complaints about iPlayer. Shuey says, Stell, I hope you enjoyed the food. Services on the way back after a stop to chat. What was he having? What were you eating, Stell? Had you gone for a cheeky, large, big double Mac or something, or not?
No. I mean, I don't want to drop him in it, but Adam was the one queuing at the Burger King or whatever it was. No, I was a meal deal. I'm trying to be good. I'm desperately trying to be good. So credit to Crawley. They put on a couple of trays of sandwiches and teas and coffees for us. But just another sandwich and a bag of crisps on the way back. So I was pretty good. I was pretty good.
Ian Birchnell, evening. Sorry for my lateness, but been away in Singapore. Beautiful place. One of my favourite destinations in Singapore. Fantastic. Of course, Radi Avramovic was a very successful national team coach at Singapore for many years. So Ian's got on the plane, left Singapore, and it was 0-0 at half time, landed in Dubai, and it's a 2-1 brilliant win. Were you not in Qatar Airways business, Ian? You could have had the free Wi-Fi and maybe hooked up and watched the game. Ben Looms, when is the white kit going to get used? I know it said select games, but can't see where that might be. Not sure it's arrived yet. We'll keep you posted. Evening from Paul Huskerson. Ian G. Any rumours on who we might have coming in, out? All appears to have gone very quiet. Richard Hawksworth. The Crawley press box was that tight. It's a good job that us 50-somethings are built like gazelles, or we wouldn't have managed to sit down. I detect a sense of irony there, Mr. Hawksworth. Jurgen Pye, get Luca and Robbo back. Will be like 2 new signings. Jeff Jono, the club informed me last season in one of our meetings that it's the league that tell clubs what colours to wear. Interesting. I will try and find out from the club the definitive reason why it was black and white and not green. So I know often Notts would sell an away sponsorship, and in this case it would be the University of Nottingham, and they would ordinarily expect that green shirt to be worn as many games as possible. Ordinarily, when we're not playing a team in home colours of green. We've done the everyone seems quite obsessed with the red card. We've spoken about Keller and Kilmarnock. Breza Maxwell. Belshaw has gotten 2 promotions, both with Harrogate. Hope he can make it number 3 come May. Notts for me need another striker, says John Parr, to keep Dennis and Jatta on their toes. Essie Kent, what a difference having Palmer back. Yes, down the middle with Norburn instead of just on the wing. Belshaw got promotion with Bristol Rovers as well. I think he did, yeah. So, I mean, you could be looking at 4 promotions. Not all of those are Football League ones, though, I don't think. I'd like another striker too, says Ian Birchnell. Robert Greensmith. It seems ridiculous, really, that it's taken so long for James to come to us. I hope he finishes his career with us, which we hoped Didsey would have done as well. Kay says, now Traore is left, we must be in for signing a striker, surely. We only have 2, so can't see Dennis or Jatta leaving. I think that's the positive, isn't it? Quality goal from Jody, says Martin Blaney. Hope that builds his confidence. Yeah, Jody Jones, Stell, by his own standards, tough time, former League Two Player of the Year. Got a start, took his man on in the final third in the first half, got that goal. Interesting celebration, I mean, could this be a turning point for Jody again now?
Yeah, I'd like to think it gives him a bit of confidence. Look, we've said all season he's not been at his best, but I think there have been reasons that he's been in and out with injuries. He's obviously, I say obviously, but you suspect he's been carrying like a niggly sort of, anybody who's had a niggly knock that sort of, flares up after every maybe 2, 3, 4 games, and then it stops you from playing a couple. You never really get any full confidence in your body in terms of whatever body part it is. I believe with Jody, it's his knee. And you just, for somebody like him who wants to, shift his body weight, albeit that low center of gravity, wants to move from side to side quickly, get himself a yard, get past his man and whip a ball in, then, it's important that your joints are solid, that you can trust it. And we know the quality that he's got. That goes without question. But this season he has struggled a little bit for form. But a goal like that, I mean, we know the quality that left foot's got, particularly to find one in the top corner. Hopefully that will just give him that bit of confidence, that bit of belief, because a player like Jody, again, he gives us something that we haven't got too much of in the squad, which is real quality in the final third. That is something that I think has been missing. I think we get into good areas. I think the first half, particularly Saturday, was a good example. We get into some really good areas, and then that final ball just lacks a little bit of quality, a little bit of finesse to it. So I think we'd be far more dangerous. We create far more with just that little bit of quality. And Jody is the obvious candidate for that. And so the goal on Saturday was nothing but quality. So hopefully there's a few more where that came from.
Do we read much into his celebration or not?
No, nothing at all. I would imagine a bit of relief from him. The way I saw it, he gave it the little, what do you expect? I'm Jody Jones kind of thing to the knock fans, like, come on, give me some adoration kind of thing, because he has had a lean season, in terms of that 2 penalties before that. That's his first goal from open play this season. So, it's not gone how he wanted, but as we said, we are only just past the halfway mark. The running could be a big moment, and you want your best players, the quality players, fit and firing. And if we can get Jody fit and firing, then we can put a real run together as well. So, look, plenty of celebrations for football players, in the moment when you score a goal like that particularly, but when it's your first one from open play this season, then you tend to do something that you wonder, you look back at someone after, what on earth was I doing? But no problem with it whatsoever. Like I say, keep putting them in the top corner, keep celebrating how you like.
Ian Birchinall regards flying back from Singapore. I was in cattle class on Emirates, Paul, so no Wi-Fi, sadly. Forest game was on the telly, and I fell asleep on the plane to it. Chris Gosling, we need a creative 10 for me in this window. Saturday suggested we may be moving back to one up top, which, if that's the case, a third striker option becomes less of a priority. Debbie Caton, I won't do the chant, always believe in Jody Jones, she says. What else have we got on the boards? Balaam Board, I feel sorry for Roos. We moan about him always punching it instead of catching. In his first game in Scotland, he tried to catch it. Ian Haywood, last time we were at the Lane, someone threw a cup on the pitch. Now the club under investigation. Not heard anything since. Any sanction on the club, Paul? I think the club have to submit a report, conduct an investigation, and depending on what the club say and the if you like, the measures that they take to prevent repetition, etc., determines on whether there is any sanction that's given by the Football League. Gary Phillips says, I understand our squad is big, but I would love to see another central midfielder come in. Robbo may be close to fitness, but he does seem to get one injury after another. Palmer has only just come back from another injury too. Pash says, we really do owe Crewe a battering. Dale Pikett with the win on Saturday. Well, that was the first league double of the season. Crawley put to the sword, 6 points out of 6. Crewe, Saturday, Stell. As you said, we've had some pretty dire memories going to Gresty Road or whatever they call it these days. Back at the Lane, as we are for 4 games in out of 5 at home in 2 weeks. Busy period. Whenever we see 2 home games together, we seem to get very excited, and we end up with 1 point out of 6 or something. I mean, the irony is, goodness forbid, Crewe win Saturday, potentially they can go above us in the table. So some teams have gone through a lean spell coming back. We've got a game in hand on 1 or 2 teams, haven't we? But we're going to need to pick more points up at home more consistently.
Yeah, of course. You've got to accumulate points wherever you can, but you've got your better chance at home, haven't you? Obviously, and you can't go into games fearing them because of what's happened before or what happened historically against a certain team. It's about what happens on the day. We've spoken about this many times, haven't we? The inconsistencies of League Two, and the proof is in the league table at the minute. I think Bromley are 6 points clear, aren't they? They've won 8 out of their last 10. They've got that consistent run going. So, look, they're in the box seat, but as we saw last season, as you see a lot of seasons, teams have good runs and then fall away. When that changes, they look a very different team. So, Notts have got to make sure that Saturday becomes the start. The Saturday at Crawley becomes the start of a winning streak of games, a run of games. And you would want 4. And if you could ask for a run of games, you'd want 4 at home out of 5, wouldn't you? I mean, that very rarely happens throughout a season. So, it's just the peculiarities with some, rescheduled games. So that we've got this, and we've got to take advantage. We have got to take advantage of that. We've sort of an indifferent record over the last 6 home games. Even spread of wins, draws, losses. So, big game Saturday again. Everyone's a big game now. You know what it's like. You tick off every game, it becomes slightly bigger as we get towards the decisive part of the season. But now is the time where if you can hit form, if you can get a run, get a bit of confidence, get a bit of consistency, have a bit of luck with injuries, and things like that, keeping key players fit, having your better players available, then you give yourself every chance. But Martin knows and the players know it's about what you do. You've got to do it every game. Just look at the next game because that's the only one that you can affect. And they'll be fully focused on Crewe this weekend. And they won't be bothered at all about what's happened previously in games against Crewe. They'll just be working now to build on that Crawley 3 points.
Derek Flower says, Jody was answering back at the fans who have said his legs have gone. Wayne Wilkins, he did more in 10 seconds in the last 8+ games, playing inverted on the right. That's why the best players in the world play on the right if left-footed. Still not having it, Wayne. Still not having it. Michael Fletcher, if we can get McDonald and Robbo fit for the running, that could be vital. Do we need another goalkeeper, Stell, or not?
Well, look, I thought there might be, I thought they might be bringing Belshaw in and keeping Roos. I didn't really realise they were going to put Roos straight out on loan. But again, it comes down to maybe they didn't. But when you get an offer in, you can't judge things. That and offers sometimes become too good. I think Keller Roos was obviously on a decent contract, decent amount of money. So we're sort of in the same position in terms of one senior keeper and 2 young lads, 2 inexperienced lads in Milai Perrott and Harry Griffiths. So it comes down to how much Martin trusts them young lads. And I'm touching wood, should anything happen to James Belshaw. Now, if again, they'll have honest conversation. If they have the conversation and they say, look, if something happened to Belshaw and he was going to miss, say, 3-4 games, we need to get somebody else in because I can't trust, or I don't yet trust one of the younger lads to come in and do that for 3 or 4 games, then they have to go and get somebody else in. A sort of, I said to you before, or I've said to you previously, like a Tyler Miller type, maybe a loan signing who's got experience, who is available free, a free contract sort of player. That's if they don't trust, and then they maybe put the young lads out on loan, go and get them some game time in non-league football, maybe. But that comes down to Martin. It really does come down to Martin whether he will, in that scenario, does he trust them young lads? Again, have they put a 24-hour recall in for Kel Roos? We don't know. We'd assume so on the second half of the season. But then could you go down the emergency loan signing route as it's a goalkeeper? I don't know. Maybe that's a reason for putting a keeper out on loan. But look, you in an ideal world, you would want another experienced goalkeeper providing competition for James Belshaw, really, but certainly more to be there as backup, a ready-made backup should the need arise. I suppose you could say there's Sam Slocum hiding in the background, but I don't think they'll want to get his gloves out. But yeah, I would like two senior keepers. I always would, but again, that comes down to I haven't seen much of Harry Griffiths, and that will purely be on Martin's how much faith he's got in him if he was asked to do the job. And I don't just mean coming for one game. I mean having to play 3, 4, 5, consecutive games maybe where good results or bad results can make the difference between promotion, playoffs and missing out. So it's vital, the running. So it's vital you've got the right components to do the job.
Robert Minister, we desperately need to win at home to Crewe, he says. Like Stell says, we just need to play with energy and enthusiasm, and hopefully we can get 30 minutes out of Beck Ray. That might be a tad ambitious, Robert. Debbie Caton says, Beck's, I've called it in my opinion, is a future superstar. I suspect he will become a very popular player very quickly. We look at the league table, Stel. I mean, fair play to Bromley. Fair play. I mean, it's almost like we're saying they're disappointed. They only get a point at Chesterfield. Andy Woodman, Michael Cheek show there. Even that gap is not insurmountable, as Walsall proved last year, didn't they? How would you describe our position at the minute? We're in the bottom position of the playoffs. Loads of points to play. Is it 4 points? We're off third. How would you assess our position and chances right now?
Look, I think to give Martin credit, like a lot of people have said, I think he's got the most, or pretty near the most out of us this season. When you look at the squad, when you look at the players, what he's been given, I think he's got somewhere near the maximum out of us. We're talking about the main players like Jody Jones hasn't been in his best form. Various different things that throw into the mix. I think seventh is. Yeah, obviously it's right. You play this many 20. What we play 25 games. The league table doesn't lie. It doesn't throw up anything that's not right. So it is where we deserve to be, and I think that comes from like I said, the scrapping, the fight, the steeliness, the grit that we've got, that desire on most occasions that is always there. I describe it as we are never out of a game. It seems, no matter whether we're playing well or badly. Great win down at Crawley. But the first half, you would say, wasn't great. We weren't great. We got into some good positions. And then, like I say, wasted the final ball. We looked susceptible on balls into the boxes, long throws, crosses into the box in the first half. And you thought, crikey me, this could be a real difficult afternoon. But then we were a lot better second half. But even then, when they went down to 10 men and we were ahead, we sort of got stuck between going forward and taking all the pace out of the game and invited a little bit of pressure on ourselves. So it wasn't a perfect performance again, but how many times have we said it? We haven't played fluent, brilliant football in many games this season, yet we've come out with 3 points. And you absolutely agree on this, and I'm sure most people do. It's all about the 3 points. The performance can be spoken about and analysed and improved and worked on during the week, but the bottom line is you get them 3 points and then worry about the rest. Get 3 points, it all takes care of itself. So I think Martin and the coaches have done a brilliant job. I think the players have done brilliantly for, in terms of work rate and just never say die sort of attitude. The football is not as sparkling as we've seen in previous seasons, but the results are, similar. And again, maybe look at the makeup of the squad. Is there as much quality in it in terms of individuals? Debatable. So I think with what he's got, I think we've done pretty well. But that's no saying we need to do better. We do. He wants to do better, or everybody wants to do better, of course. So we've got to kick on. We've got to keep picking up points, but we're not far away. It's such a tight league, as we've been saying, and it's going to remain tight. Gradually, a few teams might fall away, but it's so tight. 4 points between us and the automatics at the minute. That's nothing when you've got 21 games still to play. So we're in there scrapping and fighting, and that is, they are two things that we do particularly well this season: scrapping and fighting. So you just never know. You just never know. But again, while ever the window's open, I, like a lot of people have said, more than a striker, I'd like to see a bit of creative quality come in. If we can, and I fully accept that might involve us having to, either sell or move players on, should I say, to bring somebody in. But I just think with the way we play, yeah, we've got two out-and-out strikers. Not sure we need a third, and I'm not sure who you would get to come in behind Jatta and Dennis. We were mentioning about Andy Cook going to Grimsby. You're not going to get a player like him to come in and, potentially start on the bench or whatever you. So, but I would like to see a little bit of quality in that final third, a creative number 10, something like that. That said, I thought Tom Iopenda probably had his best game in that 10 position. I've liked him a little bit deeper, in previous games, but I thought he played really well in them positions on Saturday.
Ian Cooksey, prediction of the night from Ian, he says, Bromley will not finish in the top three. Now, there's a bold statement. Wayne Wilkins is banging the inverted drum. Lamine Yamal, Salah, Mbappe, Ronaldo, Saka, Foden, Neymar, Messi, Maradona, all inverted or peeled off from the middle. Quite a lot of those play down the middle and then moved either side. Even the mighty Matty Dennis did so early this season. The closest you'll get to me agreeing on anything inverted, Wayne, is any of them first 10. I would be happy for any of those 10 to be inverted in a black and white striped shirt. Okay. Pash says, what did Pato get booked for on Saturday? No doubt it was for telling the fourth official something constructive. Pash goes on, not as much quality in this team as previous ones, so agree with the point that Stall is making there. Did see at the double for Barnsley at the weekend. Where might we be if we had kept him? ZO, outgoings have been good. Maybe Hinchy or one of the goalkeepers could go. Cotter appears to be stuck on the conditions of his loan. Incomings have certainly improved. Goalkeeper and signed 2 youngsters. Vital now we get some quality in if it's to be a truly successful window. John Parr, a Ruben Rodriguez type Stell. Yeah, let's bring Crawley back. Let's bring them all back, eh? Let's bring them all back while we are at it. Ian Cooksey just popped in. Hinchy can't go anywhere. He's played for 2 teams already this season. I think it's slightly convoluted, Ian, because he's played for 1 football league club, us, and he's played for 1 national league club in Altrincham. And I think, I'm not sure of the finer blueprint of this. I think he still can go somewhere, and I'm not sure whether he can only go to a football league club now and not another national league club. Anyway, we shall see what happens. I'm sure Richard Montague is on that as we speak. Robert Greensmith says, yeah, do a Crawley. Get all the old band back, he says. Why not indeed? We've gone, like you said, Stel, no games for 15, 16 days. We got the 3 points. We got it out of the system at Crawley. 2 home double headers in the space of 4 days, sandwiched around an away trip to Fleetwood. I thought Martin made an interesting point before the game on Crawley, and he said maybe players were a bit leggy when I kept predominantly the same team against Accrington on New Year's Day after the busy Christmas period. I gleaned an impression from him that he in this spell of games would be rotating his players a little more.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. It's not something he's done though, is it?
No.
And you're right. I mean, he did address that, over the Christmas sort of games, because let's be honest, we had two flat performances, didn't we,
Yeah.
or non-performances almost, Chesterfield and Accrington. Um, so he may decide that, look, once bitten, twice shy, I might preempt it and make a couple of changes. Or he might go, well, that was then, but we've had 15 games, 15 days break in between games. So that is where I've maybe he's tailored his training a little bit. Maybe, I mean, I know he doesn't shout about it. Maybe the players have had a little bit of downtime. I know you never know with a game that's cancelled, but we were all pretty certain that Oldham game wasn't going to happen, didn't we, early enough? So that was no surprise to anybody. Um, we'll wait and see, because it's not been his sort of first thought, is it, to rest players? It has been, if you do well and you play well and you're fit, you go again. Now, again, this I still don't know, and I'm certainly no scientist and not got the intelligence to work it out. But I don't know how the fitness people, the S&C people, the strength and conditioning people, how they preempt that people are liable to be leggy, liable. I don't know how you get a crystal ball into that, but obviously there must be some science, because every club seems to have it. But Martin hasn't been somebody who pays too much heed to it, does he? He sort of goes with, if you look all right, if you're telling me all right, a little bit old school. In fact, speak to the player. How you feeling? Be honest. If you feel a bit leggy, I'm not going to then leave you out for 6 weeks. If you are telling me you don't feel, you feel tired, you feel run down, whatever, that's fine. That's what we've got a squad for. But it won't be held against you. But how do you feel? Be honest. And I think that puts responsibility on players as opposed to science. But again, it's that science that I don't understand. So you know, look, I'm a believer in put your strongest team out there. If you get a leggy performance, deal with that afterwards. You cannot preempt. Nobody knows what might have happened. You make 5 changes to rest legs, you get a poor performance. Who's to say that the 5 that you've left out wouldn't have played better? So, look, I think strongest team, and just have them conversations with people. Be honest. Everybody's a man in there. There's some younger men, but everybody's a man in there. Try and be honest, and nobody knows everybody's body better than yourself.
Andy Easom, 110% we need another keeper. God forbid Belly picks up a long-term injury. We are then back to square one. We have to guard against all eventualities. Essie Kent says, Paul, after the Jim O'Brien night, how about a Wembley promotion reunion? I'd certainly get a VIP table. We will hold you to that, Essie. We are having a few discussions about getting a couple of lads from that Wembley promotion lineup involved. And we're also looking at doing a kind of a Notts County pre-World Cup special just before the World Cup starts as well. More details to follow as and when we get those sorted out. ZO says, I think Martin Patterson has decided which players he trusts. A number of the current squad he really doesn't seem to fancy. Dale Pike, it says, Blackpool for the weekend, Stell next weekend ahead. You don't like Blackpool,
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Greza Maxwell, I'll swap you the yellow shirt behind me. Both my Piaggio ET4125 Vespers and John Craven's News Round 2007 BAFTA Award for Best Factual Children's Programme that I bought off eBay last week. There you go, Greza. Debbie Caton, the lads were dead on their legs, looked burnt out. I think he will rotate, says Debbie Caton. Steve Silver, you won't catch Stell in Blackpool for a weekend, not even for a stag party. Never a truer word, Mr. Silver. Mind you, you are going to miss a game and you are going to be somewhere slightly posher than Blackpool, aren't you?
Yes, yeah, I'm missing the Swindon game. I'm not here next week, but there is good reason. My good lady is It's her birthday, and she is she's say retiring, but she's taking her pension. I've got an old age pensioner as a wife from next week, so we're going away. We're going to Paris for a few nights. So ever the romantic, I'm winning husband brownie points.
Have you got any PSG tickets or not sorted?
No, I know I haven't. No, I don't know. I don't know what we've got planned, but yeah, I don't think we'll be watching any football. That's for sure.
But you'll be a guest visit to Meadow Lane this coming Saturday, Stowe. Nothing else on.
Yeah, I think I can fit that in. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, gutted actually. I'm missing the Swindon game. I won't say that too loud. She's within earshot, but yeah. It's a big game, isn't it? You know, the Swindon game will be a good one, but unfortunately, I'm missing it. I'll keep tabs across it, and obviously fingers crossed. But then I'm back for Fleetwood. So Paris to Fleetwood next week. How about that?
Fingers crossed the weather doesn't play a part against Swindon and Fleetwood, said Robert Greensmith. I'm sure there'll be no issues with the Meadow Lane pitch in terms of rain. I mean, we are forecast rain, and there's supposedly another snow bomb coming towards the end of January, isn't there? Okay, well, look, I think that about wraps it up for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to our official partners, the Big Shed, Trent Navigation and Over the Road, as well as JH Accountants. I will be back, is it today? I'm losing track, on Friday, ahead of Saturday's home game against Crewe. Do not forget, it is a 12:30 kickoff, so get there nice and early. Ian Cooksey asks, Stell, are you still doing Bromley as it is on Valentine's Day?
Yeah, I'm not that romantic. Yes, I'm down at Bromley.
Oh dear. Adam Kent, what is wrong with Blackpool? We have an Airbnb for the night for the Fleetwood game. Yes, even I shall be going up overnight on Friday night for that one and staying in Blackpool. But lots of football before that one, starting with Crewe on Saturday. Stel, thank you as always for your
pleasure.
Incisive commentary.
Pleasure, no problem. I hope everyone has a good week.
Indeed, I'm sure we all will. We're getting back into the swing of football again now, aren't we? Thanks for watching tonight, everyone. See you all very soon. Cheers for now.
Cheers.